World Menopause Day 2024. Can you believe it's been 2 years since we first started talking about the menopause at Fit 4? We launched MenoFit and had our first Meno meetings. Lots gone on in 2 years. But the strands that we talked about back then, exercise, education and community, are still really relevant today. Now, as you're seeing this, I'm going to assume that you're still a Fit 4 member. So you're still smashing the exercise element of working through your menopause. We've had some new classes on the timetable: the Les Mills shapes, strength and development, tone and tighten, and soon to come Pilates, which are perfect for your menopausal women, alongside the stuff going on in the gym with the fast classes. And if you're still missing the shuffle box step, it's still there on the app under MenoFit anytime you want it and you can't make it to the gym. Now, education around menopause, that changes rapidly. As more of us are using HRT, more studies are being undertaken, more evidence is being compiled as to what the best practices are for us. And there's a couple of things I really wanted to take the opportunity to talk to you about today that have arisen through my personal journey menopause this year. Now, we're defined as being menopausal when we've had a year without any menstrual cycles. Which sounds straightforward, but it isn't always. And in my case, that wasn't my experience. I was having bleeding, spotting here and there, and I just thought it was my body's winding down process. I thought eventually they would stop and therefore I would become menopausal. But it wasn't until early this year that I had some gynae surgery, and afterwards my symptoms became much worse, and I was having extended periods of bleeding, I was having pain, I was having clamping. But again, my natural instinct was thinking, oh, maybe it's my body having its last hurrah, and then it would all fizzle out eventually. But after a little while, when it hadn't fizzled out, and after being nagged by some more senior members of my classes, I did actually mention it to my GP and said, yeah, this is happening. Immediately she fast-tracked me through to the hospital where blood tests, CT scans and MRIs. And ultimately, in July, I had to have a total hysterectomy. Now, that is a worst-case scenario. If you are experiencing random symptoms, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's where you'll end up. Just unfortunate for me that it was my journey. Davina came along a few years ago and waxed lyrical about HRT, and I think myself in particular embraced it and was very enthusiastic about slapping on the gel every morning, popping the progesterone pills every evening, and other people were slapping on patches onto any spare bit of butt cheek they could find. And for a lot of us, it's been a godsend, and it's been, a lifesaver in many ways. I don't think I'd be teaching if I hadn't been taking the HRT. But there is some evidence coming out now that it's not necessarily great for all of us, and some evidence around an imbalance between our estrogen and our progesterone that can lead to other symptoms, such as bleeding and something, fibroids, that I think we're going to hear a little bit more about over the next few months. And again, I would encourage you, if you're having any symptoms, please go and see your GP or your menopause nurse. They will check things out and can either reassure you, check on what your levels are looking like and whether there's any alternatives, and just be safe around it. And be aware of it might not be for you. It isn't necessarily a treatment that is appropriate for everyone. Linked to this, there is a panorama done in the report around overprescribing of HRT and some of the private menopause practitioners that you might want to check out. So I think we're going to hear a little bit more about this in the news moving forward. As you know, we get defined as being menopausal when we've gone a year without having a period. It isn't always straightforward as that. It's not like you get a telegram from the king to say thank you for your services to reproduction. or a text on your phone to say your time has expired. For some people, it's a little bit more vague and a bit more random. If you're getting any symptoms that you're not sure about, I really want to reiterate that you check this out with your menopausal nurse or doctor. There shouldn't be bleeding after the final period. So education and staying in touch with what is up to date and relevant around menopause is still really key. So exercise, education, community. Now, this is where I get to say a huge thank you, because without the menopause community of Fit4, I would have struggled over the last few months. Having to have a hysterectomy when I didn't want one, it's been one of the most challenging and isolating periods of my life. I didn't know anyone else who'd had a hysterectomy. I had no points of reference, and it wasn't something I wanted. The consequences are long-reaching. So everyone's view on hysterectomies can be different, as I've learned. It's a very personal journey. Friends and family are great, but they might not get you. They have their own concerns and issues and just want you to be safe. It's very challenging, but all I can say, I've had so many conversations in the staff rooms across South Downs Leisures, from Southwick to Lancing to here at Worthing. In the cafe with my friends, hugs from members in the streets around Splash Point, and belly laughs in the car park at Field Place. And they are the things that kept me going over the last few months. And so, World Menopause Day 2024, I want to say thank you, because we had this conversation around menopause. You gave me the community that has supported me through my challenges, and just to remind you that that community is there for you too. I'm hoping we can start meeting up again in the new year, and maybe we can get some more shuffle box steps going on. But whatever, we're there. We've still got the menopause group Facebook page. Reach out if you need us. And remember, I'm not going to lie, menopause is not fun, but the women you share it with and experience it with can be.